Welcome back to the Prof G and Shively Next Play podcast, episode 6. Glad to be coming virtually today, but I am virtually tired. So I don't know how you're feeling.
I'm with you on that one.
We're always learning, so we tried to put this podcast together earlier today, and unfortunately, technology didn't allow us to do so.
Yeah, we're getting the kinks worked out here, and glad to still bring the podcast no matter what form we have it in.
I am excited though about our new broadcasting headsets, hoping that brings good audio quality and a little bit easier functionality to us as well.
Looking forward to that. Get some better technology, always good.
If you've been listening for a while, you may know that the purpose of this podcast is to talk about everything Justice University athletics. So just let us jump right in. We will start with women's soccer. Last week, a couple of games for the women's team, right, Matt?
Couple of games. Yep. I see. I know for sure they had 2 out in California, and they had one that just finished up here on Tuesday as we are recording this. And so a couple days ago, as you will be listening or viewing this, and I believe their first one was at Stanton University. I believe they lost that one 7-1. And so they
definitely don't forget to give them the goal, Matt.
So they gave a 19 seconds in, they scored a goal. And then from there, Stanton turned on the Jets and took over 7-0. We see this with the women, and we saw this for the game you and I called with the men that we'll talk about in a moment against Nelson. We saw a different approach that we saw earlier in the year when the early, the kickoff, they would just work it back, kind of gather their strikers forward and kind of slowly move the ball, but their first move is back. Both men and women are starting to try to just put on the accelerator right off the whistle, just to try to just catch him off guard or get, assert some dominance, whatever. So that's what they did 19 seconds in, but Stanton rebounded and they won that one 7-1. But then wow.
It was good to see them get off to a quick start 19 seconds in, like you said, because that's what we've seen from the opponents in the past is that they get out to a quick start and kind of put Justice back on their heels a bit.
Right. Actually, that was Westcliff, wasn't it? I think it was Westcliff they played last week, not Stanton. They played Stanton last week. I apologize. So 7-1. Yeah, exactly. And then Whittier, much better result. We had a 0-0 draw. And so.
Yep, that was the first draw for the women's soccer team this season.
Yeah, not a lot of goals to talk about. In fact, 0 goals to talk about. But again, that shows a good defensive effort, which is very important. And so the backline ladies doing a great job. Amy and Gold doing a great job. And so that was really good. Successful way to end that little trip. And they just played Eastern Arizona Community College out near Stafford.
I think that would be Safford.
Safford. Sorry, no T. My bad.
Thatcher is actually the name of the town that Eastern Arizona College is located in.
Thatcher is the exact town, which is a neighbor to Safford there. Out east, the Eastern Arizona Monsters.
That is a fantastic mascot name. That's up there with the Fighting Cacti we talked about a previous opponent, and the Fighting Artichokes of Scottsdale Community College. Awesome name, those monsters.
Yeah, the Fighting Cacti. And so the Monsters took them 6-0. So again, I'm sure frustrating for the ladies to not score and to allow quite a few goals, but they were even though 3 in the first half, 3 in the second half. So there's not one half to point the blame at on that one, but yeah, tough go right now. They're in a tough part of the schedule. The ladies are, but we'll keep fighting for sure.
I do think the most interesting part of the last week for women's soccer was how you go from 7-1, then 0-0 draw, and then 6-0. Something doesn't compute there on the defensive end, and they're just struggling offensively.
Yeah, I'm going to just say level of opponent is probably a big factor of that. These community colleges, a lot of times, they're feeders into some D1 programs, right? These girls that are maybe in between have the talent of a D1 potentially, but they haven't gone recognized yet. They get their stats up at a community college, and then someone scoops them up for the second 2 years of their career. And so we could be playing some future D1 talent there. So that's tough. It can be very tough.
A lot of it for the women's soccer team is just getting used to the level of competition and not looking past community college opponents necessarily, because like you said, they could have future talent that goes to D1, things like that. So ladies go 0-2-1 in the last week. Excuse me. And let's move on to the men's soccer. Men's soccer, you and I covered a game on Saturday. Very exciting game, back and forth. It was a 4-4 draw.
Very exciting, very back and forth. Early goals, late goals, middle goals. You had goals all over the place. 4-4 draw. They had 4-3 lead with 2 minutes left in the game, and that equalizer came. Heartbreaking. And the Nelson Warriors had a couple of really kind of wild goals, right, from deep shots and kind of like the equivalent of Hail Marys in football, and they buried them. So, and of course the standout is Jair. He had just an amazing game, had 3 goals, and freshman Isaac Leone with the 4th goal, assisted by Jair. So very good showing by the captain and bringing his team along for the run. The back line played really well. Really good defense by a couple of players there for the Lions. Eric did great. Tyler did great. And so they had a couple of really good efforts. They played a push forward offense, which meant that those backline defenders had to turn on the jets a few times to track down some breakaways. And they did just that.
Absolutely. A lot of younger faces taking part in the game and making a difference on Saturday. You mentioned Tyler and Eric, but you had the chance to talk to Isaac Leone about that first collegiate goal, and this is what he had to say about that.
It was exciting. Yeah, my first time playing right wing too. Well, my coach had me playing center back at first.
Wow.
I've been playing there since the beginning of the season. But
now you're up on the offensive side of the pitch, and you got a goal on your first try on that. Yep. So I saw you talking to one of the Nelson guys. That's somebody you grew up playing with?
Yeah, we both played at Yuma. He played at Kofa and I played at Hilly Ridge, but we both played on a travel team called Yuma Madrid.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. So you got a little rival from back home here?
Yeah, a couple players I know from Yuma.
That's neat. What does that add to the game, just getting to play some people you know and get to compete against?
It's exciting too, and I like playing with them and getting experience college level with them.
Yeah.
So Isaac seemed very excited about that. He seemed a little bit winded, though, after that game. That was a tough one.
He did. It was cool. He got to catch up with a couple of friends that he grew up playing with and against out there in Yuma. And so that was special. They got to exchange jerseys and take a picture with their family and stuff like that. So, yeah, he was winded. It was hot out there, Jason. And I'm not sure Sunday is going to be much better for him. They're playing even at 2:00 start. And so, unfortunately, brutal state to be playing soccer, especially, at this time of the year. But they, I'm not calling my shot, but next time they see Nelson, expect a pretty good charge by the Lions.
They won't have to wait long to face that crosstown rival again and try and get some revenge. They meet up again on October 2nd. That's an away game at Nelson. The defense looking really good on Saturday. You had a chance to catch up with a couple of the defensive guys, Tyler and Eric, and this is what they had to say about the game on Saturday.
The defense did really good today. We're getting better every game, and we're playing with the goalkeeper at left back right now, and Eric doesn't normally usually play center back. He usually plays in the 6. So we got players in different positions, but we're working with what we got, and I think today we did good for what we have out there.
Yeah, I noticed you guys got a lot of speed back there, and you guys are pressing up some of the time, so you have to have that speed to get back when those balls get over. Why is that? Tell me the advantage of having, pressing forward a little bit more.
Yeah, so the press, we actually were working on a new tactic yesterday. I don't know if you guys noticed on the first kickoff, we instead of playing it backwards, we sent it straight into their half, so that way we could just press them forward. And yeah, we have a lot of quick players, so that's what we want to do. We want to keep them in their half and press up on them. Unfortunately, today was hot, so we got tired and lack of subs, but we did good.
Yeah.
We did good.
And Eric, what do you think about just the team's overall play so far this year? I mean, Nelson's a rival of ours at the school, and you guys took him to the draw.
To be honest, I think we did a pretty good game. We've been evolving pretty good throughout the season.
Yeah.
And I think we get the style, we could get the win, but we working through it, and I'm sure next home game we're gonna get this win.
Yeah.
Some really tough goals against the Lions on Saturday. I think the first goal was about a shot from about the 18-meter line. I'm not sure if a couple of the guys were blocking the goalkeeper's view, but he just wasn't able to get there in time. And just a couple of really fluke goals, like you mentioned earlier.
That was one of those Hail Mary goals. Yeah, that was one of those Hail Mary goals. And a couple of, I believe maybe 2 out of the 3 of Jair's were set pieces. They were maybe 3, maybe all 3 were free kicks.
I know at least 2 of those goals were free kicks right around the wall. It looked like curveballs coming in.
Yeah, and he very messy, like he carved it around the wall. He put it in the spot he was, hoping to bury it in, and he really, again, really great job. He's definitely, we're watching him hit his stride here in his senior year, and he's trying to carry this team as much as he can. But the thing is, he's not selfish either. He's passing. He's trying to get his teammates involved in. Again, Isaac Leon was set up beautifully by him and got to score. And it was a great finish by Leon, again, which means lion in Spanish, by the way. So that's pretty cool. A lion scored for the Lions.
Yeah, Jair, obviously a great leader amongst the team. That's why he's the captain. But it was nice to see some of the other guys, and maybe even the younger guys, stepping up into leadership roles. I know Gabe Hernandez was yelling things back and forth to his team, trying to get them back in rhythm. Pauly came out at one point during the first half to get some tape taken off of his ankle, but he sat right on the sideline, cheering his team on and reminding them of the plays they were running. All the guys jumping up off of the bench and talking to the team. Talking and communication actually seems to be a pretty good strength amongst the Lions men's soccer team.
Right, absolutely.
So the ladies in action coming up here again. I didn't even see the game tonight on their schedule.
I see it on mine.
I'm working off of the one that they posted on Instagram a few weeks back.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, they've updated the Instagram one, and that's the actual website. The actual Justice website has it.
Why don't you go ahead and go over the upcoming schedule for the ladies so that we can make sure it's accurate. You have it on your end there.
Okay. Well, so maybe we just marry our 2 calendars we're looking at here, but the next one I have shown for them is that home match on Saturday, October 4th, against Nelson at 10, and then away the next Saturday, and the time is to be determined on that one. So back to home and away series with Nelson, and then they're going to get Nelson 2 more times. So they get 4 out of their 5 last matches against Nelson is what I have down.
For the men's team, their next game is at home against Nobel on the 28th, Sunday, 2 p.m. Then they do see Nelson away on the 2nd, and actually see Nelson twice, the 2nd and the 11th. They see Nobel again the 24th, and then they've got a couple of other games built in between, California Christian, Bethesda, and their final game of the year against Cerro Corso. We say final game of the year unless there's a tournament of some sort. That's their final regular season game of the year.
So a lot of Nelson. Nelson is definitely our opponent we play the most here. And
definitely makes sense that Nelson would be on the schedule more than most, given that they're one of the closest teams that we have the option to play.
And I mean, evenly matched. It seems like in all sports we're very evenly matched with Nelson, and so that's again, that's the making of a beautiful rivalry right there. So hopefully that will mature into that as time goes on.
So make sure you get out there and support both the men's and women's soccer teams if you're a Lions loyal. But moving on, women's volleyball. Not a super busy week last week. In fact, only 1 match to speak of. They played Chandler Gilbert just on the 22nd here, and didn't really go the way they wanted it to. We were able to broadcast that one. Unfortunately, you were otherwise obligated, so you were not able to be that. Were you able to check that one out at all?
I watched early and I watched late, and they started well again. I think they were up 5-2 in the first set. But it's like Chandler Gilbert stepped on the gas and didn't let up. I think they only scored about 5 or 6 points in the third set, if I recall. 4 or 5, yeah. So it was like 22-3, and then they did rattle off a couple points in a row at 24 for the Coyotes. So yeah, so maybe 4 or 5 But yeah, that would maybe another example of community colleges being feeders for bigger schools. But I think from what you guys described and what I saw too, they had a very tall front line.
Yeah, very tall front line. I kind of felt a little bit dumb talking to Kyle because I'm sitting there going, oh, look, most of this team is freshmen. They've only got a couple non-freshmen. And he said, well, yeah, they are a community college. So they're only going to have freshmen and sophomores. And I was like, yeah, that's probably the case. But the Lions just had no answer for them all night. The positioning of the hits from Chandler Gilbert, the intensity on the front line, the way they were serving, and just, I don't know, the ladies seemed discombobulated on our end and just weren't able to recover.
Yeah, they got boat raced. They got boat raced a little bit, but that's okay. Again, you learn from it, and again, credit to Chrissy and the girls. They never seem to lose their composure. They always seem to have those smiles on their faces, and they work really good as a unit. And they'll learn from that. They will. And so they got a couple big matches coming up that we'll talk about here. And again, I think our biggest rival in we have Ottawa and Park a lot on our schedule, and those are a couple of the rivals we really would like to take a couple of those.
Well, our schedule certainly gives us the opportunity to take a couple of those. We have coming up on the 26th, they're away at Arizona Christian, then home against Ottawa on the 30th. Then we see Park, Benedictine Mesa, Ottawa again, Arizona Christian again, Ottawa again, and then wrapping it up with West Coast Baptist, who's an intra-league opponent. We were able to take a couple of them on the road in California. Hopefully they can continue that trend when they come home.
Nice little senior match or senior night match there. Hopefully they can win that last one for sure, and send those seniors out on a high note. Park is the one I know I talking to Chrissy after that game. They're like, we're gonna get them. We're gonna get them one of these times. Like she feels it. She feels that they're close, especially with them. So hopefully, yeah, a couple home games coming up here. So hopefully that'll be the spark they need.
Yeah, it's good to see when any of your teams get locked into one of those crosstown rivals. And it's been a positive rivalry thus far. There hasn't been any name calling, trash talking, poor sportsmanship. It's just been hard play against each other. And this is not just in volleyball, but anytime they've faced Park, it's been a good competition. So looking forward to how that's going to come down. As these seasons wind down for the men and women's soccer and women's volleyball, it's even more important that you, as the Lions loyals, show up in force to support them. And even if they are on the road, most of these games coming up are on the road here in the Valley. So try and get to those games if you can. We're going to be broadcasting the home games, and it's just been great. I've been having a lot of fun. You've been having fun, Matt?
Oh, I'm loving it. I really am. And I think it's been great.
Then before you know it, we're going to have men's baseball coming up. Actually, they're playing fall ball currently, but right behind them, men's basketball is coming here. You had a chance to talk to Coach BJ. I know we've talked to Coach Zach and a couple of others, but I'm excited for the upcoming seasons for sure.
And the thing we keep hearing is, this is what I heard BJ say when I was talking to him. It's like, there's something about when parents can't be there at the game because they live in another state or for whatever reason, and they hear the broadcast saying their kid's name, right? It just means a lot. Like, so we even, the game at Eastern Arizona that was on tonight on the live stream for girls soccer, they just had, a camera, no commentators, just showing you the action. I listened to a lot of it in my car and didn't know what was happening until a goal was scored. It's the only way I knew it was.
Yeah, it's interesting when you have to wait to hear when the crowd noise increases to determine what's happening.
Yeah. And then the PA would say that the Monsters scored, and that was a weird phrase, but whatever. So it adds a lot when we get to just kind of talk about their kid and call the action, and it really does. It adds a lot of credibility, BJ was saying, and it also just really helps them feel proud, and adds to their pride for their kids. And hey, if we can help with that, that's amazing.
Certainly happy to provide coverage for families in state, out of country. Just excited to be a part of that. And hey, if we get to have fun while we do it, that's just a bonus, right? So, this podcast is mostly about Justice University sports, but we always try and add a little bit of something else to each of our podcasts. And this week we wanted to talk about leadership. Matt, you brought this one to the table. What did you have in mind when it came to leadership?
Yeah, and leadership is a quality that is you can see it in action, but it's also an intangible. Like it has to be there on and off the field or court or whatever the playing surface happens to be. You see it in the classroom. We see it in life, you know. If I mean, this is hypothetical. I'm not talking about any of our athletes, but like, let's say, you know, a couple players uh, get into some mischief right off the field or whatever. Who's the one going to talk to them and get them back? Maybe the coach eventually, but it's probably the captain. The captain's probably the first one to say, "Hey guys, when you do stuff like that, it hurts the whole team. And when you get, you know, failing grades and in whatever class like that, you can't play, and that hurts the whole team." And so you see those captains having, you know, those types of conversations with the players. That's leadership. You see it on the field when they're directing them and getting in their face when they're make a mistake, or put their hands on their shoulders when they let in a goal or let in a bad play, right? They don't let them get too down. Like that's leadership. So you have coaches and they're great, but those leaders on in the game are so important. And we see that in life as well. We need to see, and a lot of times those leaders will translate into life leaders as well beyond their collegiate playing days.
I think you're right, Matt. I think what I see as a professor is some of the stuff that you see on the field translating into the classroom. When there are problems with, you know, certain people, maybe they're not doing their homework or they're not attending class like they should be. I don't have any problem talking to captains of their teams to say, "Hey, can you maybe encourage this guy or this girl to, you know, be a little bit more engaged in class?" Hate to see it lead to something where they're missing games or they're missing, you know, road trips or any of that sort of thing, because they're not. It's not just about grade eligibility, right? It's about being engaged in class, being there, being present, and it's nice to have the captains to be able to lean on as well for that. Yeah, I can reach out to a coach, but it means a lot more coming to them from a captain. I think a coach, a lot of times, it's just going to figure out a punishment that makes sense. So maybe they didn't go to class, so they're going to do extra lifting this week, or they're going to run laps, or they're going to do whatever. And that's fine and good. But when their peer comes to them and says, "Hey, you need to do things differently," that means a lot. I have a book that I teach a class called Social Entrepreneurship here at Justice University. And one of the things I use in there, we have a whole unit on leadership, and there's a book by John Maxwell, who is New York Times bestselling author. He's a pastor, I believe, writes really short, really easy to read books. And he just did what he calls the 4 phases of leadership growth. So I'm going to run through them real quick. I'm not going to take a lot of time, but something easy to keep in mind. He starts with phase 1. I don't know what I don't know, right? Being willing to admit that you're not an expert and realize that that's not a vulnerability, but that's actually a sign of courage. Phase 2, I know what I don't know. So now you're moving forward. You know what you don't know, and you are starting to put together strategies on how to attack that and increase your knowledge so that you can be better leaders in the forward. He said successful leaders are learners. The learning process is ongoing and a result of self-discipline and perseverance. He moves on then to phase 3, which is I grow and know, and it starts to show. So this is about leading by example. Now I've learned the things I don't know. I continue to grow, but I'm starting to show it to others and starting to pass that on to other people in a leadership capacity. And then phase 4, I simply go because of what I know. And he's talking there about leadership becoming automatic. Once you've processed the things you don't know and you've learned and you've started to show it on a regular basis, it just becomes natural and automatic. So to me, that's what leadership kind of boils down to. And I think we see a lot of that here at Justice through our student athletes. But we should always encourage them to do more of that and to step up and to lead by example and be okay being vulnerable and those sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean, the humility piece is huge. A humble leader, I will follow them to battle, right? And I think that's a lot. And yeah, being honest with what you don't know, that's the humility piece. Accountability is huge. You make a mistake. I don't expect you to be perfect as our leader, but when you make a mistake, you own it, and then you grow from it, and you take it to the bank. You're able to kind of pay it forward as you're talking about pouring into the next generation of leaders. Is so important.
Good idea today, Matt, to talk about leadership. Always an important topic. A lot of good leaders here on campus, obviously, but it never hurts to increase your knowledge or to be reminded of things. So thanks for bringing that one up. I did take a look, by the way. I have to correct you slightly. The weather on Sunday is only supposed to be 83 degrees, so it won't be so horrible for those soccer guys. Still warm, but a lot better than it was on Saturday.
Oh man, gonna get a little bit of a break.
Any parting thoughts from you, Mr. Matt, before we wrap things up for this episode?
Yeah, I think just again, I think the second half or the late half of some of these schedules, we'll see those new leaders emerging too, that you pointed out. And so looking forward to that, looking to see who's going to take over the reins in volleyball from some of those senior girls, and soccer from some of, Jair and Junior and some of those guys. And of course, women's soccer, which we have a lot of upperclassmen, so they might still have a little bit more time, but see them bring along some of the younger girls as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this season for everybody continues on, just how it all goes.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to some of the ladies that have been in the women's soccer program from the very beginning, getting a chance to see this come to some fruition. We see the growth. Coach Navarro's done a great job of recruiting a full team, and now it's just a matter of getting the cohesion there, the consistency there, and the performance there. And I'm hoping that things start to come together a little bit more so that some of those upperclassmen do have a chance to see some positive results of all the work they put in. We want to extend a big thank you to those of you that have listened through the podcast and have been with us the first 5 episodes and now into episode 6. We enjoy bringing this to you every week and hope it's a good listen for you as well. Until next time, we will see you around campus and hope to see you at the upcoming games. But we're signing off for now.